How to use digital technology to energise teaching, learning and assessment. Effective teaching and learning always starts with the learner, their prior knowledge, so what they've done before the session and before the new topic is introduced, what their strengths and weaknesses are, their progress, so using their assessment to plan the learning, and their goals, ambitions and aspirations, so you can link that learning to their wider goals. We've got a wealth of information at our fingertips with things like Pro Monitor, but are we using that data and that information about our students' progress as effectively as possible? Now we know that our sessions need to be differentiated and we need to match the learning to each individual learner. It isn't anything new. So how can we make it more effective? Well, digital technologies can make differentiation much easier. And here's how. Up until now, we've used digital technology mainly for two purposes. We've used it really for organising content, so things like having all of our course information on Moodle and ProMonitor and BlendSpace and having it organised. And also we've got instructional content, so things like solar packs, YouTube videos, TEDx, that kind of thing. That is brilliant because that means that we can take some of the learning that's happening in college and we can extend it outside of college with things like blended learning. So we can point our learners into to content that's online that they can watch outside of college to support their in-class learning. But the problem with that is the emphasis is still on knowledge acquisition. It's about the tutor creating all of this stuff for the learner just to consume. And we want to kind of move away from knowledge acquisition, really. So if we look at Bloom's taxonomy, generally most sessions start with the teacher introducing some new concepts, checking the understanding and remembering of previous learning, and then by the time they come to finish the session, we're getting on to applying and analysing our results. Then we run out of time and the learners then have to do homework to carry on practicing and applying and evaluating. Well, if you take the flipped learning model, you can take that stuff that's happening outside of college and the delivery of information can happen before the session itself. So you could be delivering that information before they come in, and then you can flip Bloom's taxonomy. So outside of the class you've got the remembering and the understanding, and in class you can start applying and analysing, evaluating and creating, all with the support of the tutor. Now the question is, if all of this stuff can be delivered outside of the classroom, then why do students need to come to college in the first place? What's great about delivering this stuff through digital technology and having a flipped classroom model is that you can then differentiate in your class, not just by attainment, so low, middle and high attainers. You could have you could differentiate by interest, assessment, how independent the learners are, what they've already attained, if they need any ALS support, and also their behaviour. You don't just have to have 3 levels of differentiation. You can literally have multiple sessions happening in one class. So we can move away then from the tutor standing at the front of the class with rows of tables and everybody doing the same thing at the same time in the same way, to groups of learners in different stations, each learning their own specific problems and solutions. So the tutor then can walk around the session, can move around all of the groups. The groups can move into different stations. So you might have some learners that are looking at analysing text. You've got other learners doing practical tasks and filming each other on iPads. It's much more collaborative, and the tutor can support the students that need it, and they can challenge the more able learners. The learners can use digital technology to then collaborate with each other using Google Documents and all work on the same document. They can be sharing information, they can be chatting to each other and sharing it on Edmodo, on BlendSpace and on Pearl Trees, and they can collect this information together and network their ideas and really get a deeper understanding through collaboration, sharing and discussion. Our classrooms can then become a place for divergent thinking and sharing, collaboration, experimentation and practice. The learners get challenged. Every single learner can be challenged because you know where they're at, they know where they're at, and you can then challenge those learners that are high flyers, and you get to support the other learners as well. So you've got much more opportunity for formative assessment because you've got time that you're not actually stood in front of them speaking. And the students get together, and instead of just acquiring knowledge passively, they actually create knowledge through this discussion. Now I want you to meet Amy. Amy's at college and she's come home from her session and she's been learning about politics. And she goes onto Facebook and she speaks to her friends on Facebook. She finds a link to a YouTube video. And on that YouTube video, there's comments that she follows, and there's another link to a blog. And she follows the blog and it goes back to Twitter. And then there's a LinkedIn group that she finds. And eventually these networks grow and this digital learning expands and gets fully connected. It gets networked and her learning is broadened and it becomes much more meaningful, and the sessions become energised. Some people are working individually, some working in a team, some are carrying out practical activities, and the learning is much more meaningful. Why? Because it's all about matching the learning to the learner. And in the digital age, it's about sharing, collaborating, networking and building on those ideas.